TV, this is the Wake Up Call segment. I have in studio with us, she's the chairperson of the Juvenile Home, Ms. Susan Gray, and also the secretary of the Juvenile Home, Rhea Perez Durant. How are you this morning?
Good morning. We're good.
You're good. I know we have a lot to discuss about in terms of all the homes in Trinidad and Tobago.
That's correct.
You know, and I know we're pressed on time with you this morning, Ms. Gray. So if we can start with just tell me, what's happening at some of these homes, like St. Michael's and Jude's. I just want to get a recap of what's happening.
Okay, in terms of St. Michael's School for Boys, I think by now the whole population should be aware that that home was closed down, and the members of staff, the workers, the lazy ones, they are still signing down at the ministry. That's the Ministry of Gender. They have been signing there since December, and to date, there is no end in sight as to exactly where they are supposed to be going. The last thing we would have heard is that the St. Michael's School for Boys is supposed to be reopened, it's alleged, and opened as a boot camp. Whether it is true or not, we do not know. And we also heard through the grapevine that upon the reopening of the Red House, apparently the staff are supposed to vacate the offices at Ministry of Gender, and they are supposed to go to St. Clair to sign again. So there's no end in sight for them. What they're going to do with them, we really don't know. That's in terms of St. Michael's.
Okay, and remember all those kids that was at St. Michael's, where are they now? Where did they filter them through?
They would have been placed in homes. They would have spread them all about, and some of them would have gone to YTC. There's another area up there. There they would have placed them. They usually refer to them as chins. So we would get some, as well as St. Mary's would have gotten some of the boys.
Yeah, I know you mentioned chins. I did a couple of stories where I heard chins is a group of people that causes a bit of riot at the home. I mean, Rhea, what you can tell me about that? No.
The issue with the chins, we would look more on the direction of the training of the persons who would work with them. And while legislatively there is provision to have care for children in need of care, it is that if you don't have persons who are adequately trained to deal with them, you're going to have a continuum of issues. And as a result of not having trained personnel, specifically trained to deal with this grouping of children, you recognize across the homes, and in particular for some more than others too, we have problems. Problems associated with runaways, problems associated behaviorally, and in other contexts as well.
Where did the name CHIN came about?
It is coming out of the children's legislation, the miscellaneous provision. That's a recent 2018 amendment, which would incorporate a lot of amendments across the bundle of children's legislation, including the Children's Act of 2012. And in there, what is noted as well, the CHINs stand for Children in Need of Care. And so, in addition to having whatever issues they were faced with their families and so on, they need particular care because home could not provide those kinds of care for them.
Right. Ms. Gray, I know a couple months ago there was a sort of riot at the St. Jude's home, and I was told that, chins were involved in it, the police came, staff was hiding. What went on?
Oh, it continues. What would have happened is that we had a group of girls, and these girls, I'm sorry to refer to them as thugs, they are bullies. And what transpired is that they wanted one of these, a new inmate, they wanted this particular girl. They wanted her to be removed from a particular house to go to their house. You understand?
So is it like a sort of...
So it's different, like different dorms, separate houses. And they wanted a common sense. They wanted that child, you understand, in order to indoctrinate her. And because that was not happening, they caused a riot. So they attacked staff members. One was bitten, all of different parts of her body. They broke up a cell phone of another staff. They also broke up, I think, a computer of another one. And to date, we don't know what is happening. The riots continue. And what is happening there is in terms of you have too much children and hardly any staff. So you cannot have in a department where you have 35 children and you have one member of staff. And these are different types of children. You have violent children. You have children who have been exposed to crime. What exactly is going to transpire there? It is common sense. We know what is taking place.
But haven't you spoken to them, the board, to at least separate the chins from the ones that are not aware of all this violence and stuff?
They are separated, you understand? But remember, they come out to roam the compound, and that's when all this fracas will take place.
How do these girls get to escape from the home, though? I mean, you're coming through security, you're checking in. How does that happen?
They climb the walls.
So there's no sort of security, burglar-proof
There's
wires?
security, they climb the walls. If you want to go, you will go, you know. Once you decide and you are determined that you want to leave that compound, you will go.
Wow, I mean, Venezuelans among...
Mixing, yes, that's what
I
we
met
have.
with some of them, you know, the girls here, our girls here said that they've never gotten glasses, dental, but the Venezuelans are getting it.
Preferential treatment, that's correct.
that's-
That is correct.
And,
Yes, it
and
is.
also learning the language. So
Right.
they are exposed to educational enhancements. One of the issue, generally when you have a language gap, you're going to have miscommunication.
Right.
So you find a lot of, when we visited, the staff communicated in a manner that is a little less than using the formal or subformal language similarities.
Right.
What we find, they were using signs, they could have spoken with one child or two, and so whatever message was sent via one person rather than engaging all the girls using the common language known to them. So when you, again, we come back to, if you don't have that supportive training for staff, how do you expect them to execute the performance and effective care of young persons who is within their remit?
Yeah.
You can't get that except that these persons are exposed themselves to the language.
Ms. Gray, you think these staff members are trained enough to take care of these
The
girls?
current staff members, those members of staff that came through statutory authorities,
Right.
yes, they are. They are equipped, they are skilled, they have been there for many years. But in terms of the contract persons that you're bringing there, no, I don't think. You don't go into a home, an institution, and say, I love children. It don't operate like that.
Right.
Because you have to know the population you're dealing with. Because every child there, it's a separate individual. You must be trained. You understand? And when you're not trained to deal with things like that, that's when you have problems. So some of them, the outsiders, they are not trained.
What's happening at St. Mary's?
Mr. Paris, go ahead and discuss that.
At St. Mary's, you also have the chins issue.
Right.
So you also have the same issue of the risks to staff or public officers. And within the last year, public officers have been injured, have had to resort to the police for protection. And with this level of chins, you also have issues of marijuana smoking on the compound, possession, and of course the police getting involved.
Right.
But this does not augur well for any organization to which the state invests money that the very persons who they invest to care for is involved in marijuana use and or possession or trafficking when they leave the compound and they go to school or
Right.
they leave the compound to go elsewhere.
But
They
shouldn't there
come
be
back
like a
home.
rule where the kids leave the home and come back in and they're being searched? Shouldn't something like that be put in place?
These children are very brilliant. In terms, let me tell you exactly what is happening in terms of searching at St. Jude's. You have to resort now to checking sneakers and checking gel for here because they're bringing in SIM cards in gel. They're bringing in prohibited substances in sneakers. Before you told yourself these were children and that would not happen, that is what is happening now. I mean, I'm sorry to make it sound like this crass, but we recently had to have a body search on a female because in one of her bodily cavity was a cell phone.
Right.
So now you understand what is taking place.
Yeah.
We are not trained to be searching children. Now you have to resort to that. That is not our job. But because these children are so skilled and equipped with anything you could think about, that is what we have to resort to now.
And taking it back to St. Mary's, so you have the issue of the marijuana use and so on. And then you have the behavioral issues to which on any given day, the public officers who work there, their life is at risk.
Yeah.
And this is going both male, child, or female in that instant. So you find the real risk of physical injury is pretty high in that home. Because what happened, the children are at several levels of their many issues that may be psychological and the rest. And so the staff, again, with large numbers of children, how are they maintained? So the issue of maintaining the ratio child, that clearly is not there. So lots of children, few staff.
Yeah. I mean, you don't hear about none of these stories. in
No,
the
you will
newspaper.
not.
You don't.
No.
Because the homes are prized possessions. Nobody wants to know the truth of what is taking place there. But my job is not to cover up anything, it's to let everybody know and be aware that everything is not kosher there.
Right. Ms. Gray, I know you're also an attorney. How do you manage all these homes?
Okay, first and foremost, when I am at work, I take off my cap as being an attorney. I am there as a juvenile home supervisor, you understand, for all the homes. And my job is to ensure that what is supposed to take place is right. I am there about justice. I don't want to see any child abused. And I would not stand by and look at any manager or any staff ill-treating any child. It's as simple as that.
How do you interact with the girls as well?
With the children? The children love me. It's plain as they simply love me, because I treat them as though they are my child.
Right.
So in other words, I don't think about them as being in an institution. So exactly the policy I would adopt with a child, as it is mine, I give you freedom. I don't think about you as being, you're there because you're placed because of circumstances in life. So how I will treat my child, that's the way I treat them. I interact with them that way. I take them for walks. I go to PTA meetings, and I call them my children. So, in other words, that they are close to me. I have a bond with them.
In terms of St. Dominic, what's happening there at
Oh,
St.
you
Dominic?
left
I
the
hope
best.
there's a lot of issues there
You
with
left
workers in
the
particular.
best for last.
Right.
People believe that St. Dominic's Children's Home is the ideal home. It's the model home. It is not. It clearly is not. We have more issues there than all the other homes. First and foremost is that most of the staff, we are supposed to be Statutory Authority Service Commission officers. So we were sent by statutory authority. If you have a manager that she disobeys and everything, because the executive officer is in other words, it's your boss, and you disregard all instructions. It tells you, it starts to rotten, as they say, from the head, and it filters down to the children. I can tell you this for a fact. It has been more than 4 years since that manager had a staff meeting with any members of staff. You don't see at any point in time. Letters come from statutory authorities promoting workers, and she will tell you flat, I don't have to answer to them. I am going to disregard that. And you have the poor workers there who have been sitting there, languishing, wanting to perform their job, and they cannot do it. So they're not getting paid, and they're not being given the opportunity to perform their role and function. That is part of it at St. Dominic's. But we are not demoralized because we are there for the children.
Right,
we are not there for her. In terms of cooking, the institution is supposed to have 2 cooks. All the other homes have fantastic meals, beautiful cooks.
I know St. Jude's had issues with that.
Not anymore.
Right.
So they are getting proper meals. So all
Right.
the other homes are they're all right. In terms of St. Dominic's, we have 1 cook. So when that 1 cook is on her days off or she's sick, they have to outsource food. Now that is a no-no. Because you want to outsource food, you don't even know where this food is prepared. I could go to any restaurant, you don't know. You understand the meal plan, you don't know that children have different dietary needs,
Right.
and you just lump all the food in 1 box and you bring it there. That is a no-no. That is not supposed to happen. So that is where the problems start in terms of meals. And it's just what the cook gets, she cooks. It's as simple as that. We have some meals, I don't even want to describe it to tell you. You understand? I wouldn't even eat that. I wouldn't eat that. And why are you serving that to give the children? We complained and complained and complained. Now they decide they want to do something about it. But what are you doing about it?
Right.
There is a vacant position for another cook. Bring the cook on board, so we will have 2 cooks on any given day. You have proper breakfast, proper lunch, and proper dinner, so the children will not suffer. It's as simple as that.
What do you think should be put in place to just make change to these homes, though?
Oh, I believe the government, I should say, in terms, I think that manager we have should be sent on disciplinary leave, administrative leave, remove her,
Right.
because I think she's a nun. I think somewhere in the Vatican or somewhere there's a place reserved for her. She can go and serve her people there, because clearly she's not serving the children and she's not serving the staff.
So
I think she
would you
be-
say you have a communication with her, though? Do you have any good
We
communication?
communicate by letters.
What about face-to-face? And
Oh, when she see me, I don't think she likes to see me, I don't think I'm that ugly, but I only see her when I go to church.
It's
And it's hello,
avoidance.
hi, and that's it, nothing more.
Okay. So what do you think they should put in place, though, for the safety of these children?
The children basically are safe because we protect them with our lives. It's the administration I have a problem with.
Right.
I believe what they have in place for all the other homes should operate in St. Dominic's as well. You have a manager that interact with the staff and interact with the children. You know the children's needs. So in other words, that you're face to face with them, you have a bond with them. They don't have a bond with her. They have a bond with all the members of staff because we are like mothers to them.
Right.
So if they don't see us like they hurt, okay, Miss Grace not coming to work today, and when they see you, they run towards you. You understand? That's the interaction we have with them. They don't run towards the manager. They run towards us.
Wow.
Because we have a connection with them.
Ms. Gray, what is the rule, when a child turns 18?
Oh, well, according to the law, that means you're an adult.
Right.
It's either the child will go back to the homes that they came from, because they will work with the parents to see, in other words, that they will try visits. So like weekend visits, you understand, to get accustomed to the child coming back to you. And if the parents don't want them, the children will be placed in hostels.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Ria, you have anything to add to that?
On the point of what's happening at the homes,
Right.
at the level of what could be done, to first address what could be done, you must examine what is being done.
Right.
And what is being done, there is a system that is operating side and side by the formal system. So the formal system is manager, deputy manager, grade 3 and
Right.
going down.
Right.
Many of these posts are unfilled, including deputy manager, and the grade 3 is not allowed to perform her duties, and a lot of irregularities. So when in fact you will have 2 of every post, something is drastically wrong, because it tells me you are allocating money to a waste resource. If you have 2 drivers, 2 accountants, 2 deputy managers, one actually in the post and one who is supposed to be in the post and not working, that tells me this is mismanagement. It tells me it's short of madness.
Yeah.
Now, the manager has made it very clear over the years of the point of transformation, but even a butterfly does transform. And in this instant, the transformation going on close to 7 to 10 years still have not occurred. Ma'am, you cannot have a system with an overlay or a shadow system beneath that and think you are having any progress ahead. The manager has made it very clear to her employers, who are our employers as well, that she will challenge any decision with respect to the public officers that are within her remit. So she's not afraid of the law, and she definitely is not afraid of any, or let's not even say afraid, respectful of any procedure or process of governance.
Ms. Gray, that's wrong.
It
though.
is as clear as that. It is as clear as that. She's fearless. She's not answerable to anyone.
And public officers are repeatedly over time threatened with the tenure of their service, whether it would continue. So there are these constant veiled threats. If you don't obey, then you may not be in a job. That's madness. That kind of a function is not for the public service.
Yeah. Despite the quote by our PM.
Well, because again, it feeds into there.
I mean,
lazy government workers. But again, if you have government workers and there are no delegation of tasks to them, what do you want them to do? Make it up? They have to follow on with the tasks that are designated to them to perform. So in the instant that you don't provide work, what do you want them to do? Go and clean the yard?
Ms. Gray, do you have anything planned for the kids for Christmas? You'll do anything for them?
Oh yes, they usually get invited to a lot of Christmas parties, but we personally, we celebrate our children. So whether the home is doing something for them or not, we normally incorporate them in everything we're doing. Like what you will do with your home, put up a Christmas tree,
Right.
I make sure the children put up their tree. You understand? So
That's nice.
they're involved in everything. So when they look back, the memories, in other words, that when I was a child, I put up a Christmas tree, I was hanging up curtains, I make them do everything that involves Christmas. What I will do, so I involve them in it. And in terms of dishes or whatever it is, if they don't get things there, I mean, sorry to say it like that, they need to know about fruit cake, whether it has alcohol or not. You understand? That little taste of it, so they get that from me. You understand? We give them everything. So whether anybody else is giving it to them, we will do it.
And Avanel, it's important to raise this point. We live in a diverse population, in a culture that is different from a lot of other places, but yet similar because we are all citizens of the world. Now, in Trinidad and Tobago, you have so many cultures and festivities that are celebrated that represents us all. It represents the group, and then it represents us as part of the larger group. In this home, over the last 3 years, there have been every Emancipation Day, which is August the 1st,
Right.
the home would observe another culture beyond the African culture. When it comes to Diwali, there is no structure to have the children aware of any of the practices in a real and tangible way with respect to observing these cultures. And that tells us that's a serious problem. Because when we ask the question with respect to August the 1st, the recent emancipation, they were told they did not remember emancipation was on the 1st of August. And on that day, the children had a cookout observing Asian culture.
But aren't they going to school as well, so they can
Yes,
be
they're going
informed
to
of what's
school.
happening?
The children are going to school, but in terms of the previous manager, she made the children aware that every Emancipation Day they had to put on their outfits and they must go down to Brian Lara Promenade. This current manager we have here, maybe she forgot all its Emancipation Day. For you to plan a cookout and say you're doing Asian culture, something is wrong with that.
And the year before Mediterranean, and the year before French.
So, Ms. Gray, what are you doing about this? I mean, have you brought it up?
Oh, of course we did. You understand? Of course, they would look at us particularly. But what we normally do is that we normally will teach the children.
Right.
And in terms of culture, so if we know, like Miss here was supposed to make chili baby and tulum or whatever it is, we will do that. So, but we will teach them. So these are the things that you eat, and at least if we educate them of the dishes, you understand what is supposed to be served according to different cultures on different days. Of course, we talk to the children, we educate them.
So actually, we have to do it almost independent of the management.
right.
Because we look at Republic Day that went just yesterday. On the Sunday the 22nd, a significant day because that was the day of a lot of weather issues. They were having not the celebration of Republic Day. And might I say Republic is one of these observance that is significant for the history of Trinidad and Tobago, even on par, if not more, with Independence Day. Do you know, rather than even call it Republic Day, this administration was calling it red, black, and white. Let's be honest. And they did not even observe the day on the 24th. It was done on the 22nd.
Ms. Gray, something
Yes,
is wrong.
but we did something significant for the children yesterday. We would not say because we don't want anybody to know, but in terms of public holidays, we celebrate the children, and they did had a ball and they enjoyed themselves tremendously.
That is very nice.
The issue sits where the formal responsibility of management to not just manage, but in this instance, you have care of children and to educate them with respect to their history, their culture. That is not forthcoming. That is not forthcoming.
Once they're under our care, our children, in our departments, trust me, they will be aware of everything taking place. Because I usually say, you see 7 o'clock in front of television set, the news. So when I start to question you, you should know exactly what is taking place.
That's very nice.
These are the kind of things I do.
That's
so they're aware of what is happening in terms of sports, in terms of the weather, anything that is happening worldwide. I encourage them to cricket, sports, everything, so they are aware.
Avinal, we cannot allow you to go without raising the issue of a total, and listen, this is not just a lack of knowing or omission. This has to be a concerted effort if we're seeing so many problems in a circular manner. With respect to the observance of health and safety conditions, do you know this home does not even have a health and safety committee? And they're running fire drills where the muster point is beneath a tree. So if the muster point is beneath a tree, and barring it is not rains or anything, but it's an earthquake, wouldn't the risk be as potent as if they're in a shaky building?
And these are for the wards of the state. These are the state children.
It is. I mean, I know we're pressed on time. Ms. Gray, anything you want to end with this morning?
I will give Ms. Perez the opportunity.
Ms. Perez.
We want to raise these issues, not thinking in any part that it is an isolated issue or that it has occurred suddenly. This has been a gradual breakdown, and at the core of it, public officers are affected because not only are they affected, their families are affected, and the level of what the children deserve, that is affected as well. So we raise these to the national audience to say, this is the way the officers of the state are treated and then labeled as lazy. But if you do not give the workman the tool to perform, you cannot expect the work to be done.
That's so true. That's so true. Thank you so much. So we were just speaking with Ms. Susan Gray. She's the chairperson of the juvenile home, and also Rhea Perez Durant. I want to thank you guys so much for coming here. You know, PSA platform is always open to you guys.
Thank you.
So coming up next, we have an artist in studio. He goes by the name of Eddie Charles. So stay tuned for that interview.